All right, people. So we're gonna give you guys a reaction towards One Piece, but in retro anime style. All right. Before we get started, I'm an artist. I transform my photograph into illustrations. So if you have any suggestions, whether it's anime, Marvel, or DC, just leave it in the comments section down below. All right. So without further ado, let's dive into this. I'm going to be giving a rating on each of these AI One Piece and retro old school anime style. Let's do it. All right, you guys. Luffy. Let me actually blow this up. Let's see it in full screen. I'm gonna switch it over to here. There we go. So that way you guys get like a closer view. All right. So judging by what I'm seeing right here, Luffy actually does look pretty accurate, as if this is like some 1980s slash early 90s art style. Obviously, this one is pretty darn cool, and I really like the texture. I like how back in the days it was not heightened as far as the technology is concerned of the digital color that we have now. So I kind of miss the old school look. The closest thing that I could think of that had that style was Cyberpunk Edge Runner. Highly recommend you guys check it out on Netflix when you get the chance. I heard they're gonna be continuing that, but not with a sequel, but spin-off. But anyway, this gets to me a 9 out of 10. Let's continue. Okay, AI with Zoro. I haven't watched One Piece in a while. Zoro. Put it in the comment section. I know who this is. I just can't say his name properly. But that looks pretty good. I just wish they gave him the headscarf on his head. But textures look good. I'll give this one an 8 out of 10. Why the hair gotta be all bouncy like Yu Yu Hakusho? Um, it doesn't look completely like the retro anime. I'm just ignoring beyond just the filter of it looking retro. I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. Wow. Funny enough, he is supposed to be black, right? Usopp. This is a different Usopp. So, but again, everything else works. Just the orientation is off. So I will still give this a 7 just because the style still looks retro to me. 7 out of 10. So it made him like a boss. When did he have wide shoulders like that? This dude been hitting the gym. It to me this just looks more like it's a fusion rather than the retro style. It looks more like just still One Piece style, but just with the added filter. Even though this is a great AI, because it's not an illustration, it's just AI image generated, still looks good. But again, filter, I'll give this a 6 out of 10. Chomp chomp, right? That's cutesy chomp chomp. Okay. Since when did he have hair going down? I mean, that's AI for you. The texture, everything else works. I can definitely see this. If this was made in the 90s or 80s, so this gets an 8 out of 10. All right. I do not know this character, but I know of this character. This looks, it looks more like a hybrid, but at the same time it still feels, just with the hair, the angular face, just the texture, this really screams as if this was the 90s or 80s. So I'll give this an 8 out of 10. This one does not. This one just looks like One Piece with the filter. Still, AI did a good job capturing this character, the likeness of the character, but it still has that One Piece style. So I'll give this a 4 out of 10. This looks great because we got to take it to consideration the 90s and 80s there was really focused on attention to detail, even though there was the technology was not up there for everything to look super duper sharp. But nonetheless, still looks great, very detailed, and yeah, I'll give this an 8 out of 10. This character right here as well, I'll give this one one, two. I'm just always got to count the fingers with AI because sometimes AI will have 6 fingers and, believe it or not, 4 fingers on the hands. Texture is nice. This reminds me of the retro feel, so I'll give this another 8 out of 10. Now this one, no, this just doesn't. The angle, the art style is not One Piece, but also doesn't really look retro in my opinion. It looks like a fan art of somebody else's style that drew this character. So this gets a 4 out of 10. Yeah, Luffy's brother, what's his name? Jace, I believe. So it doesn't. The angle is nice. It's a really hard angle to capture, especially when drawing. It just makes him look younger. Ace looks younger. I wanted him to look how he looks during the time, when he's older than Luffy. This looks more like maybe he's the same age, if not 2 years older than him. So the likeness is off. The likeness doesn't need to make it look just like the character, but more of the age, and then it could still be that retro style. So judging by the retro style, I'm not seeing too much of it. Just because it's rough edges doesn't mean it's retro. And I think sometimes AI, it gets it confused. So I will give this a 5 out of 10. Okay, this character. Don't know this character, but I've seen him before. Haven't really watched One Piece because One Piece keeps going on and on and on. And for the people who keeps up with it, of course, obviously the fans are fully committed. So of course you're gonna correct me in the comment section. How come you don't know this character? Like I'm not coming from a fanatic of One Piece. I'm just judging by what I'm seeing. Is it accurate towards my opinion on a retro art style? And to me, this one really does not. I could still see by the eyes and the shape that it still has a One Piece art style, but just has added lines and the filter to try to make it look retro. But to me, it does not work. But nonetheless, this gets a 4 out of 10, below average. All right, Hawkeye Mihawk looks pretty cool. I really like this. The hands, I don't know what's going on with the hands right here and AI, but this is a cool Hawkeye Mihawk. Like the texture, like the simplicity of it, the harsh lights and shadows, right? Give it that retro look. Yeah, I'll give this one, because I can't ignore how amazing this looks, even though this is AI. I'll give this an 8 out of 10. I don't know this character, but this definitely screams 90s/80s. It just has that Yu Yu Hakusho feel to it. So yeah, this gets an 8 out of 10 as well. This one, it kind of gives me a feeling as if it's like 2000s rather than 90s. I just the lights and shadows give it the modern look. Kind of reminds me of like the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, where they kind of took homage of like the old style but modernize it. Kind of looks like that rather than retro. So still looks good, but doesn't give me a retro feel. It looks more like it's inspired by retro. So that being said, I'll give this a 5 out of 10. I don't know this character, but same issue that I was talking about before, where it's clearly a One Piece style, but then just a filter added to it with a little bit of detail. So this doesn't give me the old school anime look, because the old school anime look, they emphasize a lot on the eyes and all that stuff, and this just seems more like it's the One Piece style. So I'll give this a 4 out of 10. And this one to me just gets a 0 out of 10 just because this is just straight up One Piece. This is not retro style at all. It's literally the same as he looks in the show. I will even say for this character too, I'm just not really seeing the difference. So you get a 1 out of 10. See, this is what I'm talking. You see the difference between that and even like, I think this is the last one. Okay, this is the last one. Yeah, so this one definitely gets an 8 out of 10 just because this looks retro. From the hair texture to the face, this one works. Now, look at the difference between, let's say, this, which is literally the same art style from the original, and then look at Luffy. Like, Luffy is a good example how the art style completely changed. Everything is more angular with form, and on top of the filter, this is what I mean by changing the art style but still capturing the likeness of the character. So this is my favorite one, this one here, and there was a few others. And also put it down below which one is your favorite. Let's see. It was this one. There was one I liked as well. Hawkeye Mihawk was good. That one looks nice. And I think there was another one I can't find. Chomp Chomp was alright. But really the best one, honestly, is Luffy. This is the best one. So rate yours down below. And like always, if you guys want me to make my style of Luffy and different characters One Piece, where I use my photograph as reference to make digital illustrations, just jump in the comment section down below. That would greatly appreciated. In terms of suggestions, all right? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.